Now we have a new topic, working at height, 8.2, working at height. So we all know working at height, we use different platforms, different equipments like ladders, scaffolding, man lift, and several even, open-sided floors are there, which are of course high and well designed and constructed in line with the building, but still they would be considered as a working at height. So in that context, as per NEBOSH theories, how we have to keep ourselves safe from working at height and what hazards going to be there. And bear in mind, fall is still the #1 cause of fatalities globally. So look at the work at height where there is a risk of a fall liable to cause personal injury unless precautions are taken. Workers at risk mostly are steel workers, scaffolders, roofers or engineers, welders, maintenance staff, painters, and also window cleaners. And main risk are worker falling and object falling. These are the main risks. And accidents, as I mentioned, the biggest reason of fatalities like death, neck or spinal injury, broken bones, even brain damage. So these are the accidents could happen because of working at height. We required a very strong prevention system actually, prevention and even protection system. So vertical distance, falls from any height can cause injury. Now here, before I discuss further to the NEBOSH theory, what are your take on it? If a person is falling from 100 feet and a person is falling from 6 feet, what would be the impact, If a person is falling from 100 feet and on the other side a person is falling from 6 feet, what do you think, what would happen to both, the impact, the effect of that height? If someone is falling from 100 feet and the other one is falling from 6 feet, what is your logic says, who is going to die as quick as possible, God forbid? I repeat again, the person falling from 100 feet and a person just fell down from 6 feet, God forbid, what terrible consequences going to be there? Okay. Because here the falls of less than 2 meters can cause death or major injury. As per NEBOSH theories, falls of less than 2 meters can cause death or major injury. So of course, in both cases, like 100 feet, of course, the same consequence most of the time. The person is hard to be survived. But yes, he has a chance not to hit towards neck or towards head to the ground, because still have time to, change the position or something like that. But the person who's falling from 6 feet, normally, he will fall like this, head towards the ground, and that is why the whole body weight would compress and immediately the person could die, otherwise major injury could be there. So in both cases, both are terrible, but in 6 feet, it's hard to change the position or try anything different, But a person who's falling from 100 feet still have a chance to grab something or to, or to change the position if he is not got panic actually and still trying to survive. So he would get few seconds, of course, to try different things. But the person who's falling from 6 feet, no chance to change position, no chance to catch anything, just hitting directly to the ground. So falls from any height can cause injury. Vertical distance is only one factor. Falls of less than 2 meters can cause death or major injury. Several injuries are happened, just the person slipped, fell down and died. That means the sudden injury, the sudden kind of impact on our body is really hard to bear with. No, the roofs. The roof work includes construction and maintenance. Particular danger arise with two types of roof. We have fragile roof, like a roof structure not designed to carry loads, like cement, asbestos, glass, reinforced plastic, etc. Sloping roofs, pitch greater than 10 degree. Injury made worse by acceleration down roof as well. So fragile roof and sloping roofs we have. What are the risk factors for working at height? Deterioration of materials, unprotected edges. That is why while we erect scaffolding, we have toe boards, And why we have toe boards? The reason we don't want any material to be fall down, or even a person should not slip off from the working platform. Unstable access equipment and also weather. That is why above than 65 kilometer per hour, even the scaffolding could be in danger zone. Now, falling materials, crumbling brickwork or loose tiles, these are some of the examples how the materials could fall down. Bad storage of materials on scaffolding, even bad housekeeping, the most neglected area I noted, especially in construction industry as an auditor. The accumulation of debris or also gaps in platform surfaces, open unprotected edges, and also throwing things on and off the roof actually. Sometimes you say catch it or just throwing, and hitting to someone. So that is what we have discussed. What are the hazards of working at height for a window cleaner, and this was the most effective way to reduce the risk. Now it's a kind of practical discussion now. Imagine you have a window cleaner. So discuss what hazards gonna be there, and how you will reduce the risk. What kind of precautions or safety regulations you'll implement. A person is working at height as a window cleaner. What would be the most effective way to reduce the risk? Over to you, please. Yes, anyone voluntarily, please. Yes, Mr. Muhammad, the worker or an object falling from suspended platform. Mhm. And
Assalamu alaikum. Good morning. Yeah, the risk and the worker, he can fall down from the high wind, especially with this high building, they're using the machine. I don't know how it's called for the, like a rolly for you for
sometimes we call it underhand scaffolding, sometimes they just use kind of a cage or
like a
with the pulley system.
Something. So this high wind, if the scaffold or the thing it's not protected well, it will fall down, or it will collapse, and the guy, even if he's using a full body harness and he tie his surface correctly. So this is very important equipment or material to be tied well.
Absolutely.
So yeah, if it's not tight, of course he will fall down.
Yes, several incidents are happening.
Yes,
several incidents.
From the swing, it will swing. It will be swing if it's not tight.
Like this, yeah, exactly.
Yes. Also, the other thing, from the chemical that he's using to clean the glass, if he's not protect his face and eyes, that will be a splash with the air to his eyes.
Excellent, great observation, my friend. Great observation. Yes, because that is another neglected area.
Yes, and from that location, he don't have eye wash or safety shower to go there and clean himself.
Absolutely.
So he need to take a risk assessment as seriously, because he's in place that it's not easy to reach in a nearest safety shower. Absolutely. So yeah, that's it from my side. Back to you.
Brilliant, Marshall. Brilliant. And to be very honest, you are the only ones from the last like 3,000 different training sessions, you are the only one highlighted that something, can fall in the eyes also. Otherwise, whenever we had discussed, nobody shared, because no eye was shared. If eye protection, like the goggles are not properly cleaned up or not wear properly, then of course, he would be facing terrible consequences. Because once your focus is diverted or you distracted from your because you are in a place where you truly need a full focus for your safety. So any point distracting your mind or your focus would bring a lot of terrible consequences. I totally appreciate, mashallah, the way you observed. Excellent, mashallah. So detailed kind of risk assessment is required. That is why we have GSA, we have method statement, we have, kind of joint site inspection. Before even we start the project, we have sometimes separate work permit for working at height. We don't just simply allow people to start working. We also make sure that people are fully competent and they are the right person for the right job. A proper, safety induction is given to them. A lot of precautions and also the erection of those platforms is brilliant, and all the way it is well inspected by the competent persons, before even they allow them to start work. So plenty of requirements to avoid, but still accidents are happening. That means as a human being, of course, it's hard to be 100%. 100% is only Allah. What we can do is try our level best and make sure. Sometimes the overload is another reason. I mean, how come you can take more load, like, especially at that level of height? How come you can store some different materials just to finish your job as quick as possible? Because you don't want to go back and bring new material or calling someone. So you are taking excessive material just to finish your job by yourself, and you have no idea that overload. And sometimes even the distance between two planks, is more than 1 inch, and they have no idea how it could impact, And sometimes the toe boards are kind of the platform is just disturbed because of poor material or poor kind of erection, or not erected by the certified competent employees. So several reasons we can highlight. Let's see, it's a game of a hierarchy of control. First of all, avoid work at height. That would be the best strategy. Prevent falls or minimize the distance and consequences of fall. Prioritize collective protection over personal protection when applying the last two controls. Avoiding work at height, what we're going to do is modify the work process, work from the ground level, modify a design like chain design of structure so that steel is assembled and ground level and trained into the place. May not be possible to achieve also. Avoiding work at height, factors to consider when selecting control measures like nature and duration of task. I hope you remember the tasks we use for manual handling. You remember task, individual capabilities, and then the environment and also the load itself. So nature and duration of task, competence of worker, training needs, planning and supervision is needed, and means of access and egress, and also suitability of equipment and its maintenance and pre-use checks actually. So PPE is a requirement like helmets and weather conditions, health of workers need for a rescue plan and compliance with regulations. It's not like immediately you're gonna allow someone to start working. A lot of regulations you have to follow in. Preventing falls and falling materials, what is the best way is the proper planning and supervision of work. A poor plan, ineffective plan, incomplete plan, or a plan is made by an incompetent planner, the things could definitely go in a wrong direction. The probability will go up because your plan is not completed or not effective, or maybe not executed the way it should be. So proper planning and supervision of work is important to prevent falls from height and falling materials. Same way, the people who are responsible for such work should be experienced and should use their knowledge to ensure what? The selection and the use of correct access equipment. They must be capable, knowledgeable, and experienced to select the correct access equipment and also correct provision and handling of tools and material. Adequate information, training, instructions are still required, even though they are experienced, but project to project, location to location, the nature of environment even would be different. So we required refresher kind of instruction and training for. That is why we have toolbox meeting also. That is another way to give some better insights. You can consider toolbox meetings as a training session as well. But it all depends what exactly you're talking about. It is directly linked to the project or the processes, or you are just talking here and there. So if it is specific to the process, even that toolbox meeting, you can make it effective like a training sessions. No, regular inspection of the workplace, work equipment and work methods, and avoiding work in bad weather. Don't compromise, when the sandstorm is there and the wind speed is terrible. And the problem in the wind speed, the velocity would be different. Like I still remember in one of our meeting, we just finished the meeting and came out and have a cup of tea, standing in the hall actually, not in the offices. And there were different doors all together, like 3-4 doors on different locations, entering to the building. And there was a kind of high wind speed, but the problem is only one mirror door was broken immediately. And all started asking me, "Shah, what happened?" So I told them, the velocity of air, the power of air is not similar everywhere. So the terrible velocity is impacted on that door, just hit to that door. That is why it is broken immediately. And it was just shredded up in pieces. We know the mirror once broken, nothing will left behind. But that is why avoiding in bad weather, we truly need to analyze what would be the expected wind speed and how the terrible impacts going to be there. Accordingly, we have to decide, or even sometimes to stop our work. Preventing fall and falling materials. Look at the picture even. Falls hierarchy, you required a safe working platform, properly installed suspended access equipment, and also equipment to arrest falls and falling materials like fit toe boards and brake guards. If risk remains, debris, netting, and covered walkways can also be used. Guardrails and toe boards, fully enclosed unprotected edge. These are the toe boards. And also the guardrails. The guardrail, intermediate rail, the height is also important. Okay, so starting from the sill board, sole board, then standard post, and different kind of the materials we use just to complete our good erection of our platforms, and guardrails and intermediate guardrails and toe boards and working platform using the plans. Everything technically need to be sound, in line with the international standards. Like guardrails, make sure they are fully enclosed, the unprotected edge and robust, securely fixed, high enough, no large gaps. Toe board fitted at edge and brick guards. Now, work platforms, make sure they are large enough to allow safe use, capable to bear required loads, and fully boarded. Suspended access equipment, look at the picture also. Fully guarded toe board, and also person suspended access equipment like boat wind chairs or light short-term work or similar control to upselling. Even though a lot of protection methods they apply, but a lot of incidents are still happening because there would be any chance of failure because of bad weather, because of the person, not in senses, is working 12 hours is equal to 43,400 seconds. And in which second his mind is not focused to the job, we never know. Emergency rescue, reasonably foreseeable events. Simple, putting up a ladder. Mechanical access, we can use mobile elevating work platform like MEWP, and make sure trained operators are there or operatives is there. Fall arrest, look at the picture. The complete fall arrest system we required, collective protection system, nets, airbags, soft bags, best systems, protect all workers. Even in the competition we discussed, personal protective equipment like fall arrest harnesses, full body harness, 1 or 2 lanyards, anchor point, training and inspection of equipment. So as a safety professional, of course, we are not going to do all those things, but we must be capable if an erection is going to be done for any suspended holding or any system holding, so we just need to be capable how to verify. No doubt, the scaffolding erection is done by the competent, experienced, and highly skilled employees, but on the other side, it is also inspected by the supervisor and the scaffolding inspector as well. But still, as a safety officer or as a safety leader, we still have to verify how far the scaffolding is from the electrical systems, what is the overall condition of that scaffolding, the material, the angle of the scaffolding, and the way it is erected, it is in line with the safety standards. So what I mean is, a sufficient knowledge still be required to verify that nothing will go wrong, God forbid. If there is anything unacceptable, you can easily, stop them up, and that is your authority also. At least you can verify the tag, like it is a green tag, yellow tag, or red tag. If it is a red tag, so someone is using, still it's a terrible violation, except the erectors or the dismantlers, So several requirements, process-wise, no harm to train ourselves. The more knowledge we're gonna have for each process, the relevant employees, we can double check them anytime, and if they violate any safety regulations for that particular process, we have capability to stop them and train them, and or at least talk to them. Now, provision of equipment, training, and instruction, make sure the workers should be trained to work at height safely. Some companies, they call us only for working at height separate training, 1 day or maybe 2 days, like theory as well as practical. So why they call for separate training? Because they don't want to see any terrible accident. Some companies, they call us, not for welding process to be trained, like technical training, no. They call us safe welding, safe welding operation. Some companies, I still remember, they call us only for safe forklift operation. So just the safe word is added, even safe abrasive blaster, safe painter, something like that, just to give them some kind of understanding about the safety regulations or kind of rules relevant to that particular process. So accordingly, I'm sure in Sadara, you guys could have a very deep kind of training programs internally to train your several technical staff, because technically they are sound. Like a welder knows really well how to weld, but how to weld safely, or what safety regulations they have to follow, this is our part to train them properly. Because we can't be technical in every sort of process. Even you have safety process engineers, still it would be harder for them to be excellent for each process of the company operations. But at some level, they can train for the safety regulations of that process. That is why the workers should have an awareness of the hazards. Additional training may be required by law for use of some equipment. Now, we use the ladders like intended short duration work, risk, again, fall from height, falling off the ladder, or the ladder toppling sideways, or the ladder base slipping out from the wall because of or like the foot is not secure, or maybe the way he's using that ladder is not good enough. The angle of the person climbing up is not good. That is why he's toppling over sideways, or maybe because of several environmental hazards, like wind speed, or maybe some vibration could be there. Objects falling from the height, contact with live overhead, that is another hazard. Now suggest the control measures for the safe use of ladders. Let me be more specific here. What is the reason why that extra ladder is there from the top of the roof? What is the purpose of that? Even though it's a kind of a general discussion, suggests the control measures for the safe use of ladder. But I'm asking specifically why that ladder is excessively used from the rooftop, What is the purpose behind that? Yes, please. Any one of you? Yeah, Mr. Aftab, you want to say something? Yes, please. What should be the angle of that ladder? Why that excessive size is there from the top side, Why that extra ladder is important? What is the value of 3 point of contact? Why the person is not looking at left and right, What is the overall condition of the ladder? Yes, Mr. Fawaz? Mhm. Mr. Fawaz, there is some distortion, I think, some interruption, I don't know. But anyhow, there are several controls, like for ladders, make sure the side sighted away from the live overheads, and also solid flat base. Angle should be 75 degree. And make sure the weight suspended on the slide, like never on rungs. Correct angle, like 1/4 rule and 75 degree. Top of the ladder, again solid support. So top of the ladder, 1 meter from the roof also be required. Ladder secured at the top, guy ropes attached, or even ladder should be footed. So these are some of the precautions related to ladder. Sometimes we take it light. Oh, using a ladder is a quite common thing. It's not a big deal. But still you are going on height. And several incidents are happening because of even ladders. Top of the ladder should extend 1 meter, like 5 rungs above stepping off point if used as a mean of access. Only one person on ladder at one point. The common things, mashallah, you already making sure within your company operations, whenever there is a working at height. So nothing should be carried out in the hands while climbing. Maintain 3 points of contact. This is critically important. Wooden ladders should not be painted. Now let's talk about step ladders. This is another, kind of equipment, to be very honest. A lot of incidents are happening because of step ladders. Intended for short duration, even light work. Precautions, we require daily inspections before use. Fully open, locking devices in place, firm level ground. Don't work off 2 steps and avoid overreaching, avoid side-on working. We also have trestles and staging boards, like ensure trestles are large enough to allow passage of equipment and materials, free from trip hazard and gaps, fitted with the toe board and handrails, and kept clean and tidy and not overloaded, erected on firm and level ground. So the common things, whenever we are using different kind of working at height equipment. So we also have independent tied scaffold. This scaffolding is one of the most red zone area, especially in Saudi Aramco, and they are looking for plenty of experienced or competent scaffolders or scaffolding supervisors and inspectors. And to be very honest, it's a good future in Saudi Aramco, like a person who is not very much educated still can be trained as a scaffolder or maybe as a scaffolding inspector or supervisor in a certain level, but a huge, kind of need is there, and the local Saudis, they can get into it, and surely, Aramco have plenty of projects, and for every project, of course, scaffolding is one of the major factors to be involved. And always they require scaffolding inspectors, scaffolding supervisors, even the scaffolders, especially the contractors of Saudi Aramco. So standards is kind of uprights or vertical tubes. Standards, we also call them post actually. So make sure they are upright means 90 degree. The ledgers, horizontal tubes are there. We have transoms, like short horizontal, not vertical, horizontal tubes spanning across ledgers, bracing, diagonal. Tubes are there, base plate underneath the standards. We have sole board or seal board, and above than that, we have a base plate. And sole board like timber under base plates. Work platform fully boarded and guardrails enclosed work platform and toe boards provide lip to platform. So the height of the toe board is critically important. The distance between two planks is also important to understand. And most importantly, how we gonna make sure the selection of the right material for standards, ledgers, transoms, bracing, base plates, sole boards, or working platform guardrails and toe boards. The right set of selection of those equipments, and look at the diagram or kind of independent tied scaffold. How are we gonna place sole plate or timber plate or the base plate underneath the standard? Then the ledger. The standard mean the post upside 90 degree, toe board 4-inch minimum height. The height of the toe board should be 4 inches minimum. Then look at the top rail, top guardrail or intermediate guardrail, and also through tie you make it more stronger, and scaffold board, and also transom and the bracing. So this is just kind of an understanding how it looks like. So once you are as a safety leader going into that area, just have a look. Either scaffolding is exactly on 90 degree from all 4 sides, any leaning is there. Any leaning, make sure it's not acceptable. Maybe because of the floor is not leveled, maybe the material are D-shaped, maybe the erection is not done as per the safety regulations, as per OSHA regulations, or the way it should be erected. So make sure you as a safety leader checking some documentation that it is erected by the qualified staff, like their IDs, their training record. You can verify. You can check if it is a green tag. Who inspected? Who is the inspector? Is the competent one having ID? So as a safety leader, we just can at least verify, even though technically we can't be sound for every sort of process. But at least we must be capable how to verify the safety regulations related to that particular process. That must be our minimum or kind of competence. Now, these are the basic components. We start from the sailboard. What should be the width of sailboard or the length of sailboard? These are, or the height of sailboard. These are some technical areas. Of course, that is why we have separate training for scaffolding supervisor for 3 days, scaffolding inspectors for 1 week, and scaffolding erectors and dismantlers, or the scaffolders, in other words. We have 2 weeks training program, and just we make sure 1 week practical training and 1 week total practical training, to make them fully competent, inshallah. And we deliver a lot of projects to several brands in Saudi Arabia, just for scaffolding. So this standard, this seal board or sole board, if you can remember, the height should be minimum 2 inches and the width should be minimum 9 inches. The length could be 6 feet, or if it is like you are using small piece, it shouldn't be less than 30 inches. Okay, so, and the base plate, the small piece like 6 by 6, and also the thickness 0.6 mm. It should be in a better state. So standard post and all, accordingly you need to select. So double check the way they are erecting. It's all in line with the standard, in line with the drawings also. And if you want to be approved as a scaffolder, scaffolding inspector or supervisor, especially from Saudi Aramco, you surely have to understand, and because there is some theoretical exam as well as practical exam, So they will double check either you are capable to identify any of the technical gaps highlighted, or missed by the erectors, while they erected scaffolding. So if you passed both exams, you are free to work for Aramco projects, through different contractors. And if you are, mashallah, Saudi, so Saudization is one of the strong pillar of Saudi Aramco. So you also can join them. And like Sadara is part of Saudi Aramco, mashallah. And along with Dove, both you have separate recognition also as a brand. But you are part of Saudi Aramco already, mashallah. Now the bracing is a game of like, we call it rigidity. Rigidity means the stability. The scaffolding would not be stable in a way, especially during all the environmental kind of conditions or the load we are going to take or the way we are going to use the platforms of scaffolding. So to avoid from any wobbling or vibration or kind of issues, to avoid any collapse, actually, we required bracing, and bracing always would be from outside of the scaffolding. Now the working platform, look at, we need main guardrail, intermediate guardrail, and toe board. The height of the toe board I mentioned should be 4 inches minimum. This is another way to guide us, how the sole plate look like, or kind of base plate. Then where we're gonna put a ledger and the standard, the ledger bracing, the transom, and at the transom we will have scaffolding planks, and of course we're gonna put toe board, but the height of toe board minimum 150 mm, or in other words 4 inches. Intermediate guardrail maximum gap of 470 mm, or guardrail approximately 1 meter high. Brick guard should also be there. We can have some through tie or a wheel tie to make it more stronger. So that is what we have discussed so far. A scaffold has collapsed in a busy town center. Give reasons why this might have happened. Now, since we have discussed how the scaffolding should be erected in line with the regulations, safety regulations, but the point is still scaffoldings are getting collapsed, Now we are in good position to discuss how come a scaffolding can be collapsed? What are the reasons? And why this might have happened? Over to you, please. What could be the reasons of scaffolding collapse? Any one of you, please, want to highlight anything? Otherwise, enjoy your lunch and prayer break. And then, inshallah, we'll start from this question. A scaffolding has collapsed in a busy town center. Give reasons why this might have happened. So catch you back after the break, inshallah. Okay?